Thanks for joining us. Today we're talking about what a hacker thinks of your digital security. Hacker-turned-CTO Riley Eller sees security differently. Today I'll be interviewing Caesar and talk about the tug-of-war between corporate and personal security, where VPNs and MDM fit in the age of BYOD, and how to implement meaningful endpoint protection. As the inventor of DDoS attacks, Riley knows security from the inside out. My goal is we leave here with a better understanding of how to implement modern cybersecurity, especially with the rise in remote work. Welcome, Riley.
Hi.
Before we dive in, can you tell us how you went from inventing DDoS attacks to building advanced cybersecurity for people and companies?
Sure. When I was in that original conversation about the fact that there would soon become distributed denial of service attacks, I came to that with a long sort of existing career in industrial and technology sector programming. So I've been a technologist for a really long time. And after a decade or so of that, I kind of jumped back into the security community, which had been a passion of mine as a teenager. In the security community, I learned a lot about audits and oh gosh, just everything, and got to participate in reinventing or inventing fuzzing and DEF CON Capture the Flag contest. All of that really is a bunch of projects I got to participate in with some really brilliant people. And my job in all those teams is to bring a lateral perspective, to rethink the problem as often as is necessary until all these impossible dreams and ideas become plans and real. So I switched into management a few years ago and have been learning how to lead a team and how to fit into an organization. So I've sort of brought a technology first, security second, and leadership sort of a distant third approach to understanding and bringing a new perspective to enterprise security.
Wow, well, you're definitely the right person to tell us more about how to build secure systems. So in your mind, what is the biggest attack vector today, particularly for businesses?
Mobile is just about to overtake servers as the weakest link in the enterprise security chain. Think about how radical that change is going to be for us defenders. We're heading back into a generational cycle that we last saw when Unix and VAX VMS mainframes kind of lost to personal computers as those grew and began to shine. So we're seeing a shift to endpoint-based gaming and video applications be where the user's attention and value is at, instead of the 10 years ago centralized services like Facebook.
Got it. Mobile is quickly becoming the largest attack vector. I mean, it makes sense when you look at the breakdown of the time spent on our mobile phones. What are the greatest mobile threats you're seeing? What should we be aware of?
We're facing threats like never before. Grayware in mobile games, stalking applications, the transcription and analysis of our video calls, older attacks like security vulnerabilities and phishing. These things are prevalent, and no, your iPhone isn't even secure. Just last year, researchers found that iOS had more vulnerabilities per App Store application than did Android.
Whoa, and how are companies managing mobile threats?
We know how to manage mobile threats in the enterprise space. We just ensure that the devices that are inside the security perimeter never go outside, and vice versa. It's just totally unrealistic in the pandemic era.
Does MDM work to protect against mobile threats?
A lot of us use MDM to give our IT administrators control of what apps and activities are allowed on the devices that we purchase for our employees. It gives us and the administrators visibility and control, but it really is not a security solution. It doesn't protect from things like mobile malware, browser hijacking, and the other attacks listed on this slide.
MDM seems problematic when it comes to BYOD, because there's no way people are going to let IT control their personal devices, right?
You're absolutely right. The trend toward BYOD stands in stark contrast to the ability to control the user. Bring your own vulnerability might be a better acronym from the defender's point of view. MDM was the common wisdom just 5 years ago, but we've moved on. And that makes the world of secure endpoints impractical and unrealistic for most of us most of the time. We need something that puts me or you, the user, first in an effort to insulate the company from outside attackers.
But we don't all have to pay attention to this, do we?
Even Jeff Bezos, not only the wealthiest person in the world, but a person who also arguably works at the most secure company in the world, even he isn't secure. His device was hacked through WhatsApp, and if the Amazon security team had the capability or the presence, it's unquestionable that they would have defended his personal phone. But even that person has a great sense that they need to be protected from their corporation's watchful eyes. So there's the snooping that companies do. So all of his personal browsing history, photos, and personal communications are outside the corporate firewall, which kind of goes along with the idea that security has to be built with privacy in mind. Users won't allow you to put MDM mobile device management software onto their personal phones. They don't like being told what to do, and they don't want the company snooping on their private lives. Most companies who have tried the MDM on personal devices approach have given up. And like the slide says, there are companies out there who polygraph their employees, who prevent those employees from bringing devices onto campus at work, who have lead-lined or copper-lined meeting rooms to keep themselves secure. Those companies, as the reporting goes, 96% of people have an increasing BYOD security problem, and the other 4%, I would argue, probably 1% polygraph their employees. And the 3% that are reported here with the 4 is probably just companies that don't know they have a BYOD security problem yet. So yeah, everybody, every single executive, every user, every defender has to face up to this gap between BYOD security and enterprise mobile communication.
How are corporate VPNs at protecting the user and the company?
It's a good question. I think everyone uses a corporate VPN to create a situation where the device can only access the internet or the company mutually exclusively. And that was really an effective kind of anti-malware strategy about 15 years ago for 5 or 6 months. Since then, malware has learned that there is an infection phase, which is separate in time from the reinfection or pivot phase. So malware you can think of as being more patient now, which means that it doesn't really care that it has to wait for the VPN to get switched on. So what happens is that your phone gets infected, then you turn on the VPN, and then the company gets infected, and it's really not any kind of a defense. Corporate VPN just doesn't really address the BYOD problem at all.
So what about antivirus and anti-malware solutions? Do they offer the protection businesses need against the threats you outlined earlier?
The short answer is no. App Store screening and antivirus applications, they help, they contribute to a reasonable solution, but antivirus in particular causes performance problems on the devices where it's running. And if it doesn't cause performance problems, then it's just because it's not actually working. So it's an old school technology that hackers have long since learned to overcome. Even when there's a new virus update, it's because there were attacks weeks ago or months ago, not really an immediate response to something going wrong. In fact, it's really easy for hackers to construct polymorphic malware that's able to evade modern antivirus. And it can be re-encrypted every day, every minute, every hop through the network. And that takes up to 6 months before antivirus companies can stop it in the wild. That's just not secure enough.
What else do you see companies doing to secure their organizations?
I mean, we all use spam filters, phishing attack filters. we try to do everything we can to protect the internal corporate assets, but the reality is with the individual or personal mobile endpoint, those tools just really don't protect against well-crafted attacks by crafty hackers.
Yeah, I even read that 85% of mobile phishing takes place in SMS, social media apps, and like everything outside of email, which is crazy.
Yeah, it means that the email-based phishing defenses and email-based spam filters really aren't doing the job they used to do. Those tools are inadequate to protect our business from current mobile threats.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that mobile threats are on the rise, and yet most mobile corporate security is completely inadequate or requires the end user to completely give up control, which you also shared as, highly unlikely, especially when we use the same devices for work and personal.
Absolutely. Companies need to realize that to secure a user as part of the ecosystem is actually more about securing the user than securing the ecosystem. The corporate responsibility and accountability, the corporate security controls, strangely, in the current theory, anathemically, people don't want to hear that individual privacy is more important, but the reality is if we don't protect the user first, then they won't protect the organization. They'll protect themselves against the company. We need to enlist the user's sense of self-defense, and that just can't be done if we add liability to the user. For example, if the user clicks the wrong link and they perceive that their security system will tattle, then they're going to defend themselves against the system and the company rather than defending the system and the company against outside threats. User-first security powers a workforce that feels free to exercise their duties without feeling afraid of the tools of the trade. If we can enlist user support while we prevent the devices in our pockets from becoming attack hosts, we reduce the total amount of attacks possible by about 2 in 5. And we eliminate phishing and other social attacks on the corporation almost entirely.
That makes so much sense. And it seems like there has to be a better way.
Yeah, there must be. We need a solution that is available on iOS and Android, Windows, and Mac laptops. We need public audits of the solution. We need to be able to believe that the threat hunting security analysts and experts behind these solutions are people we can trust. Security isn't something you can trust to just a brand name. You need to know the people behind it. The security solution you trust has to partner with your organization, integrate to your security alert or alarm systems, and prove that it secures the users without smothering their sense of creativity. A great solution just has to make people feel safe first, and then have the corporation be in control second. What we need is a security solution that gives people the peace of mind that their internet experience is unfettered and still very strongly monitored, that they are not causing the next leak in the company. But we need to make sure that that solution doesn't give up information like what websites were being surfed. And that's not because we don't think that the company has a responsibility to understand how its assets are being used. To answer all these complicated security questions and problems, I helped to create Rubica, a security application designed to protect and secure the privacy of each individual and therefore the organizations they participate in. Rubica is everything that you need for mobile security.
Thanks so much for tuning in. This is the first part of a series, so stay tuned for the next episode.
I look forward to talking to each of you again.